Greetings everyone. This is part 5 of our manhwa recap of Release That Witch, an amazing story. You can find 3 more parts available right now on my Boosty. So if you're eager to support the channel and dive into them immediately, the link is waiting in the description below. Now, grab your snacks and enjoy the show the very next day. Carter stumbles upon the brutalized bodies of the attackers, strewn across the entire food warehouse. As he surveys the horrific scene, the seasoned knight racks his brain, desperately trying to comprehend who could have utterly annihilated these men. It's blindingly obvious that Yusachi was in no condition to do this, given his severe injuries. The most plausible scenario unfolding here is that someone from outside intervened in the fierce battle, and this mysterious individual needed no cover, moving with absolute freedom, giving the enemy not a single chance to resist, truly none. Aside from the bloodstains and scattered corpses, absolutely nothing else was broken or damaged. There were no visible signs of a struggle whatsoever. On the barrels brimming with preserved meat, not one dent or even a tiny chip was visible. Could there truly exist swordsmen who wield their weapons with such absolute perfection? The blonde knight is utterly stunned. Even he, despite his immense skill, so proud of his swordsmanship and training diligently, every single day would barely be able to put up any opposition against such overwhelming power. Shortly after, a soldier reports in that the culprits have finally been identified. 7 of them were members of their city's very own guard, while the identity of the 8th still remains a total mystery. Carter asks about any survivors, and the soldier quickly replies that Captain Brian is severely wounded indeed, and has been assigned special, urgent medical treatment, while the one they call the Fear Scar has been thrown into the darkest dungeon. The knight orders the soldier to wake him for immediate interrogation, and also to clean up this gruesome mess. Meanwhile, Roland was sitting pensively at his desk, in a dazed, almost unconscious state. He truly never anticipated at all that someone would try to assassinate him right inside his own castle. Who could have ordered this ruthless assassination attempt? Was it his 3rd sister, or perhaps one of his other brothers? Why are they doing this? Why? The brutal 5-year struggle for the throne has just kicked off, and they're already trying to send him to an early grave. Our guy, seething with irritation, slammed his hand on the table. Can't they even let him survive the winter in peace? Next, he extends his heartfelt gratitude to Nightingale, because if she hadn't reacted swiftly and precisely, then he most likely would not be here with us now. The young woman confidently assures the prince that those wicked attackers truly never stood a chance of even getting close, because Anna is sleeping soundly in the very next room. That's when Lord Roland gets a truly brilliant idea. He proposes that she become his personal shadow guard, and for this, she will earn a whopping 2 gold coins, which is double the amount that the first little witch currently receives, plus a glorious life in a mansion with a splendid garden, paid holidays every single year, and wonderful weekends. And the compensation will be truly excellent. To his utter astonishment, the blonde beauty refused, even with a sweet smile. She simply stated, "I absolutely refuse to abandon my loyal comrades from the Witch Association." The hero then suggests relocating all of them to the bustling city as well. As soon as the long winter finally draws to a close, they will kick off a massive reconstruction of the entire border region. And when the opportune moment arrives, there will be plenty of room for absolutely everyone. Moreover, witches will be able to stroll through the city streets freely, without any fear of oppression or persecution, and no one will ever consider them evil abominations again. She gently refuses once more, firmly asserting that she will definitely consider it in the distant future. Once all discrimination has completely vanished, Roland wisely understood that he needed to back down from this. After all, he knows it was far better to actually see something just once than to merely hear about it 100 separate times. So he deftly changed the conversation's direction, then asking, "Has Nana been sent to her room after successfully healing the soldier?" Nightingale confirms this information, carefully noting that the poor girl was incredibly frightened, and who honestly wouldn't be absolutely terrified if you were woken up late one night and led to a horrifying pile of fresh corpses, especially since before this, she had only ever healed tiny little chicks. Now, circling back to the attempted assassination, the prince keenly inquires if she managed to find anything, which of his brothers or sisters could be behind this infiltration. But when asked, the blonde merely shook her head. They were all part of the city patrol, all except one who carried no personal effects that could reveal their sender. Anyone with enough money could easily hire them. But in her professional opinion, this had no connection to the Lord's relatives. "But why?" exclaimed the dark-haired young man. "Because they were incredibly disorganized. They were constantly bickering, and true professional assassins would end their own lives if they ever failed a mission. Plus, their skills simply were not up to par, especially compared to that one maid. This whole operation feels completely unlike what we would expect from a royal family. It's more like some amateur's clumsy plan. Anyway, no matter what, the lone survivor is already being questioned by Carter. He will definitely uncover something important." Taking a refreshing sip of tea, the master assassin observed once more that these thugs, even compared to the subordinates of Garcia, were simply absolute amateurs. A little while later, as calm settled over the castle grounds, our hero walks alongside the chief knight, making their way to the mustachioed soldier. The soldier had already regained consciousness, and a kind maid helped him sit up in bed. In all his life, Brian had never experienced anything like this. What's more, it truly confused him that these attentive servants were all young maidens. Thankfully, this awkward moment did not last long. At last, the fourth prince entered the room. Upon seeing him, he felt a sudden surge of energy course through his body. He had so many burning questions, but he simply did not know where to even begin. Yet to his great surprise, Roland nodded and spoke. "First, Brian, I know everything you have done, and I can tell you truthfully, you are truly worthy of the title of knight. You are a genuine hero." Hearing such profoundly warm words, the man emotionally replied with a tremble, "No, your royal highness. Not me, but my dear friend. Now, this is a true legend." Roland gave him a firm pat on the shoulder to offer some solace. "I promise you, he will receive a funeral truly worthy of his legendary name. And that vile wretch known as Fierce Scar has confessed to every single heinous crime. He's been condemned, sentenced to execution by hanging. This brutal execution is set to happen in 3 days' time, and Roland truly hopes that Brian will personally be able to carry out the execution himself." Brian painfully pointed out, Fierce Scar is a man of noble birth. Noblemen, can often buy their way out of punishment with gold. So if he is executed, it could spark a massive uproar. Roland, of course, already knew this. He knew about Fierce Scar's lineage. In truth, it's a complicated situation. He is indeed a distant relative of some influential family, but he holds no land or any official title of nobility. so he technically cannot be considered a true nobleman at all. Besides, even if that vile wretch were a nobleman, he fearlessly led a brutal rebellion and brazenly tried to burn all of our precious supplies. By doing so, he would have condemned thousands of innocent residents to a slow, agonizing death by starvation. If he had truly succeeded in his evil scheme, the entire city would have fallen within a single day. I tell you, these three heinous sins are far too grave a crime to be forgiven, a crime from which no one can buy their way out. After that, young Roland firmly stated, "Make sure you rest well, my friend. You expended far too much strength and energy. So don't you dare even think about leaving this castle. I've personally arranged it, so others will cover your shifts and duties for now. And after the long months of battling demons, I will officially knight you." Brian, absolutely unable to believe his ears, asked again, and Roland heartily confirmed it. "Indeed, my brave Sir Brian, you shall become one of my most valiant knights." Next, our gaze shifts to the formidable city wall, where new recruits are diligently being trained by the relentless hunter, known far and wide as Iron Axe. Suddenly, his booming voice ripped through the air. "Attention, everyone. Stand at attention. His Royal Highness, the Fourth Prince, has arrived. The future defenders of the realm, of this critical border city, swiftly lined up before their revered and powerful liege." He then slowly and deliberately approached them. Roland had just finished putting down the latest rebellion and was desperately looking forward to some rest. But then, out of nowhere, he was reminded that he needed to check up on the training results. No wonder Roland felt so utterly sorry for himself. He hadn't slept a wink all night long, leaving him absolutely groggy all day. Still, he absolutely had to show up, because if the Supreme Commander didn't make an appearance, the soldiers' morale would plummet completely. Honestly, though, the hero himself didn't have the slightest clue what he was even supposed to say to them. What if he tries to motivate them? What if he yelled out some super motivating cheer, and absolutely no one cheered along? Oh, the sheer embarrassment would be utterly unbearable. Perhaps he could just ask everyone how their training was going. But even then, the only response might just be deafening silence. In the end, he finally came to a clear conclusion. He needed to strike up a conversation with someone, anyone first. He wanted to show them that he genuinely cared, boosting his reputation in the process. Following this brilliant plan, our hero approached the very first person he spotted, a young recruit, and gave him a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "Is the training grueling? Are you feeling completely exhausted? And are you getting enough to eat 3 times a day?" Earlier, the prince had thoroughly explained exactly how to answer all these kinds of questions. And following his example, the young man was supposed to loudly declare, "Everything is perfectly fine with us. We're not tired in the slightest." But the actual result was something completely different from what he had expected. The young man immediately dropped to his knees before him. This unexpected act left the noble lord utterly bewildered and in complete utter confusion. What the absolute heck is going on here? Did I say or do something terribly wrong? Meanwhile, tears instantly welled up in the soldier's eyes. And not just in that one young man. Everyone was deeply moved by the fact that His Royal Highness himself came all the way to check on them personally. Roland extends a hand and tells the blond young man to stand up. "You absolutely don't need to act like that in front of him." Well, it certainly looks like. All these delicious meals and scrumptious dishes. The delicious meals our hero served up really got the soldiers fired up. They have become so much more energetic since the very first creation of this militia. Then Roland turned to address everyone. If any of you have any suggestions at all, or brilliant ideas about our training, please just speak up at any time. This also applies to any ideas for improving our diet. I will truly do everything in my power to provide you with everything you need for these rigorous trainings. Then a proposal unexpectedly emerged from that very shy young man over there. Your esteemed Majesty, if I may. The current numbers in our militia are simply too small. With the current strength that we possess right now, if demons attack, we can only defend 1/3 of the wall, and likely perish in the process. Other recruits began to whisper amongst themselves. Even if the 4th Prince recruits new groups right now, there simply will not be enough time to train them properly. Furthermore, it is also true that equipping even 100 people with weapons and supplies was already quite challenging, and if His Highness understands this, then he would most likely invite mercenaries from other cities for help to serve as our primary fighting force. They would not need any training and could be sent directly into battle at once. They also come equipped with their own armor and weapons, but their services are certainly not cheap. Roland paused for a moment, then waved his hand, silencing the 2 others who were speaking, before asking the first soldier his name with a wide grin. The soldier introduced himself as Wang Er. The protagonist instantly noticed that Wang Er was incredibly observant, and he agreed that defending the entire wall with only the militia would be utterly impossible. However, demons are mostly mutated wild beasts, and unlike us humans, they do not possess the ability to truly think or plan. Iron Axe has already proven this very point by defeating several of them already. Blue Hair then confirmed His Highness's words. Furthermore, it is also known that demonic beasts also share similar habits and traits with their regular, non-mutated counterparts. But when it comes to the terrifying hybrids, he might not be so confident now. Next, Roland begins to outline their brilliant plan, from Scaly River all the way to the northern mountain slope, spanning nearly 600 meters across. They can construct various types of barricades, dig out hidden pit traps, along with defensive ditches and much more. So these foolish beasts will run around helplessly and gather in spots where they will be ambushed by our forces. Suddenly Iron Axe spoke up and asked, "But Roland, is this not far too dangerous? After all, you must consider, our only defenses are just spears and arrows. We won't be able to hold out for long." Taking a deep breath and pausing, the young lord then explained calmly, "If we were still relying solely on spears and bows, then yes, it truly would be very dangerous. But now we possess a brand new weapon. We quickly move now to the testing grounds, and then suddenly a powerful explosion blasts, shaking everything violently all around them. Since our guys were not standing very far away, the sound and shockwave reached them at the same exact time. Carter instantly felt a loud ringing inside his ears, and then the entire world suddenly fell silent. Once the ground finally stopped shaking, he gazed up at the sky and saw a rising cloud, followed by falling dirt, debris stones, and so much more. The blast's effect on the engineer was significantly less intense than for the brave knight. He knew this, and it covered his ears in advance. The explosion wasn't quite as typical, as seen in various films that he had previously witnessed, but it was certainly not a weak blast. Afterward, a great deal of debris rose into the sky, reaching heights of up to 10 meters. And Iron Axe was completely stunned and speechless. He was only aware of the fact that this was a test for a brand new weapon, but he never could have imagined that the impact would be this terrifying. Perhaps it could be compared to divine heavenly wrath, the god's fury, thunder, and fierce lightning. The young lord then led everyone back to the center of the grounds. A massive 2-meter crater now stood here, and all the animals tied up were completely dead. Our young protagonist thought to himself, oh yes, gunpowder truly is an Ice Sky hero's best friend. Gradually, Carter began to snap back to reality. Now his respect for his master grew even deeper. Witnessing the devastating aftermath of the explosion, the seasoned hunter confidently surmises that they will no longer need to fear any monsters. If the militia can master this incredible weapon, then the very border city itself will never again tremble in abject terror before the might of demonic beasts. But our hero reminds them that the absolute maximum he can produce by early winter is a mere 20 to 30 pieces. However, there is a powerful catch. If they combine it with spearheads and arrow tips, then such a weapon will become their ultimate trump card. Moving into the very next scene, Nightingale elaborates a bit on her mysterious powers when she unleashes her incredible abilities. Then in her perception, only 2 colors remain, namely a stark world of pure black and white. She admits it is difficult to truly explain, but it is precisely because of this unique vision that she can move through anything completely unhindered, without any distractions from the boundaries of reality. The moment she shifts her point of observation, new pathways instantly open up to her vision, paths that never truly existed in the real world. In this ethereal mist, there is no fixed direction, no forward or back, no left or even a right to guide her. Up and down, all of it merges into one unified space. This is precisely how the blonde managed to infiltrate the castle. Completely unnoticed, she now stepped forward and, emerging directly from the castle ceiling, appeared right inside Anna's personal room, of course. Sometimes, even in this world of pure black and white, she can still perceive other vibrant colors. For instance, she notices the powerful witches. Nightingale can keenly sense it, how powerful magic surges and fades within their bodies. Within this peculiar, misty realm, only they possess something truly wondrous and unique. Anna's powers truly stand out with their bright and incredibly vibrant, saturated colors. It is indeed worth mentioning here that our skilled assassin, Nightingale, had never encountered anything quite like the first witch, with such pure, vibrant, powerful magical energy emanating from her chest. The light shifted, growing incandescent and blindingly intense, that it was impossible to gaze upon. The blonde felt a pang of envy, for the light's brilliance revealed the sorceress's power. The association had often witnessed girls with orange, red, or white magical energy, but never encountered anyone like Anna. Suddenly, the fire mage calls out to her, and Nightingale appears in the real world. Anna, with her striking blue eyes, was already used to it, to Nightingale dropping by whenever she pleases, and seeing her here once more, she simply nods her head and continues her flame practice. Nightingale then mentions that she didn't just appear here without cause, but she brought a fish pie. The girl's face instantly brightens, with wild delight at the sight of such a treat. But the assassiness first urges her to wash her hands. Anna, however, declares that it's completely pointless, and instead of water, uses her powers to eliminate all the germs. Nightingale notes to herself that within the association there are indeed sorceresses who can control fire, yet they can't even hold a candle to her. But here's the thing. The more powerful the magic becomes, the more severe are the consequences. When the demonic tortures begin, the pain you'll have to face is simply beyond unbearable. Nightingale, with her violet eyes, again softly offers the girl to come join them where others, who are just like her, will be able to support her. Isn't she bored, cooped up in this castle all the time? While they may not have much food or possessions, they are a family united by a common goal, and they always welcome girls with such incredible power. In truth, Nightingale is very afraid that this winter might be Anna's last. As things stand now, she was utterly silent now, as she truly understood that even if they ever reached the camp, they couldn't truly save her then. The only thing she could do, the blonde woman could still do, was to stay right by her side, ensuring a proper, dignified burial. Suddenly, the blue-eyed man startled the assassin by asking a probing question. Where had she lived before joining the association? It turned out she was from a bustling big city in the eastern part of the kingdom, not far from the capital at all. Next, the first which inquired further if she had been truly happy there. The young lady didn't want to recall, but everyone used to scorn and humiliate her. And when they finally discovered that she was indeed a witch, her life became even more wretched, even worse than stray dogs or cats. Around her neck was a chain with a medallion that suppressed all her magical power, so she was forced to work tirelessly without any rest or pause. After refreshing this memory in her mind, the blonde woman shook her head, then inquired, "Why are you asking me all about this?" I lived in an old city district. Anna began to retell her story once more. My father sold me for 25 gold coins, but thanks to the fourth prince, who set me free from it all, I can live this truly happy life. Nightingale reminded her gently that she couldn't even leave the castle grounds due to the overwhelming hatred for witches. No one treats them well, except for Roland. But the young lady didn't lose her optimism, believing the Lord would change everything. Next, the blue-eyed woman noted that they're searching for the Holy Mountain, which is their most desired sanctuary. However, it seems she has already found her very own Holy Mountain. The assassin truly accepted the fact that Anna had seemingly, indeed, found herself in the very place all witches desperately long to find. It's a pity she doesn't have much time left to live. Suddenly, hurried footsteps echoed. Then the door burst open. It was indeed Nana. She was completely panicked and tear-stained. She rushed into Roland's arms, collapsing instantly. The girl then tearfully inquired, "What am I supposed to do now? My dear big sister, my own father has discovered that I am a witch." Meanwhile, our dear Roland, completely immersed in a deep slumber, was dreaming of valiant, heroic deeds, when suddenly Nightingale roughly awoke him, delivering some truly terrible news. "Are you still sleeping? Nana's father is here now, and he knows that she is a witch." The terrified young man exclaimed, "Her secret has been revealed. That simply cannot be true." Quickly dressing and washing his face, he rushed to the negotiation hall, hoping that perhaps he might finally manage to keep Nana here permanently. Roland also pondered to himself what Lord Tigoué would do now that he knew that his daughter possessed magic. Would he beg at his feet to conceal the truth? Or would he demand that this difficult situation be handled in the universally known way? When Roland finally arrived at his destination, the reality was far from what he had previously imagined. The furious, gray-haired man demanded his beloved daughter be returned immediately. Roland, the engineer, was completely puzzled. He certainly could have imagined many different things. But that lord, Payne, would be this enraged and completely ignore aristocratic etiquette. That was truly astonishing. But no matter how crudely Tigue was behaving, he still remains Nana's biological father. So, they should be given some time to speak. If he still desires to hand her over to the church, or attempt anything else suspicious, it would never be too late to deal with him then. Upon seeing his daughter, the rudeness in the gray-haired man's eyes somewhat subsided. He flung his arms out across the table and then announced, "Your dad's right here. Come over to me." But the green-eyed girl just stood behind Anna and, peeking out from behind her a little bit, asked, "Are you really going to give me to the church? What in the world are you even talking about, my silly girl? Naturally, I would never, ever give you away to anyone. Why would they even want you anyway? Let's go home." This whole reaction utterly confused Roland. According to Nightingale, she said, the bearded man suddenly saw how Nana was using her incredible magic. Realizing that she had been completely busted, the little girl panicked and immediately bolted toward the castle, to her beloved older sister. Instantly, as she was running away, she saw her father chasing right after her with a truly murderous gaze. But now, he looked at her with eyes absolutely full of love, and not brimming with the anger and hatred that all the other witches typically encountered. It seems that this was all just a simple misunderstanding. For a fleeting moment, the prince truly hesitated, however, deciding to simply take the bull by the horns. He then promptly asked Mr. Payne, "Your little girl has gained some truly otherworldly powers. You already know all about this, right?" The man adamantly refuses to believe any of this. And even when Nana herself clearly confirms that she is indeed a powerful witch, he just flies into an absolute rage, banging his hands down violently on the table, and then furiously assumes that teacher Carl simply persuaded her to say it again. Hearing these heated conversations from the Payne family, the young lad began to finally understand what the real deal was. It clearly seems Teague is just pretending to be a complete fool, so that Roland would not execute his beloved daughter. That is precisely why he was so incredibly nervous, until he finally saw that she was completely all right and safe. Then the hero gives Anna a clear sign to demonstrate her fiery, magical abilities right away, and she immediately does exactly that, leaving the old man absolutely stunned and speechless. The blue-eyed girl played with the flame for a few seconds, using her delicate little fingers, until the tiny one started begging her not to cause any harm, bringing harm to her father as well. Meanwhile, a slow realization begins to dawn. Prince Roland finally understands Sid Vlasov's behavior. It appears to him the prior owner of this body had such a terrible reputation that people are even afraid to let their children near him. Sid Vlasov was simply caring for his dear daughter when the old man witnessed her running straight to the castle, and the guards not even stopping her. He couldn't think of anything smarter to do than to simply start shouting. So, in the end, over a cup of tea, they managed to sort everything out. Now, Mr. Payne understands clearly that Nana had been coming here only to train her blossoming magical powers. Roland thought to himself that it actually looked very strange considering his reputation for girls to suddenly visit him. Finally, the engineer gets down to business, pointing out that Nana possesses incredible healing abilities, which could prove absolutely invaluable in the borderlands during the treacherous months of demons, for helping to heal the many wounded. He would truly love it if she could stay and aid their efforts. However, the formidable father politely declines the offer, fearing greatly for his daughter's safety. Since the Payne family are not just ordinary peasants, Roland, as the Lord, couldn't simply command them to stay. But while Mr. Sid Vlasov was still willing to talk, Roland is absolutely confident that he can certainly persuade him. He began by citing Tigue's words. In truth, the danger isn't nearly as high as you might imagine, but with risk comes great reward. Instantly, all the information he received from Barova flashed through the prince's mind. I heard you inherited your esteemed title from your father. He became a commander in the army, and afterward he was elevated to the rank of baron and received land, didn't he? That is quite true, the man confirmed. This all happened precisely during the months of demons, when a fearsome group of demonic beasts managed to break through the blockade at Scale River. But instead of fleeing from them, his courageous father went directly to the castle and requested reinforcements. He then led a small army to face the enormous, a truly wicked beast, and heroically struck it down. Even now, a massive horn from that very monster proudly hangs above the Payne's fireplace, but then our hero points out that their family no longer holds the esteemed reputation of mighty warriors, as they once did, and now they are simply ordinary nobles, who amount to nothing more than that. And all of this, he says, is due to the relentless oppression from Duke Rhine, from the treacherous lands of Longsong. Nana's father sadly acknowledges the truth of his words. The engineer, Roland, continues to subtly influence him, saying that he surely must have heard about the events that unfolded 2 years ago. Back then, the fortress drastically inflated food prices, all because the people had harvested insufficient ore. This year, they face an identical predicament. The northern mine unexpectedly collapsed on them, cutting off all their escape routes to Lanson, forcing them to prepare for a harsh winter right here. They have already constructed sturdy city walls and are training their soldiers. However perilous this may be, it also presents them with incredible new opportunities. Mr. Payne, frowning deeply, began to intently ponder Roland's persuasive words. To be honest, you do not resemble your typical nobleman at all. The prince stated with a gentle smile, not at all. While you are indeed dressed like a distinguished noble, your hands are undeniably hardened with countless calluses, good sir. You are an exceptional knight, are you not? And furthermore, prior to this, according to the intelligence provided by Barov, the formidable, gray-bearded man had on, the previous week spent 3 whole days in the forest, rigorously training in full battle armor. He even hired specialized people specifically for this grueling task. So, comprehending the man's profound motivation, our protagonist extends a truly irresistible offer to him. If you agree to remain in the border town, I will grant you the chance to reclaim your family's lost glory. You will also earn prestigious titles and vast lands, solely through your unwavering courage and unparalleled swordsmanship. I can furthermore appoint you as Viscount over the lands, situated immediately to the east of our city. What the prince proclaimed was entirely within his power to grant, as he possessed the authority to appoint viscounts, barons, and even knights. However, he could not do this frequently. But right now our hero cared nothing for the opinions of the other members of the nobility. He just wanted one simple thing, Nana to stay right here by his side. But despite this incredibly tempting offer, Tigu isn't willing to take any chances at all, preferring to send his precious daughter to the fortress rather than expose her to any danger. Roland sternly reminds him that Long Song is far from safe, especially compared to Border Town, as the church has eyes and ears everywhere there. And if the truth about the green-eyed girl ever becomes known, not even Roland himself will be able to protect her. After powerfully declaring this, Roland pauses, and then adds with conviction, Border Town will absolutely not fall when the dreaded months of demons arrive. I will personally let our people on the wall and guide them to glorious victory. Our vile opponents are nothing more than mutated beasts. They are not invincible, not by any means, especially since your own father only managed to defeat them with a sword. And now we have these formidable city walls protecting us. If by some unforeseen tragedy we do fail, I personally guarantee you that Nana will leave this city completely safe and sound. Plus, Anna will be right there accompanying her. I will prepare a sturdy boat in advance, so they can escape at a moment's notice. In the end, the old man believes the prince, respectfully nods his head, and promises that he will fight valiantly for his noble cause. Then Mr. Payne rises and kneels on one knee to bravely pledge his solemn oath. Everyone sighs in relief and begins to smile. But then, left alone with the Lord, one feisty witch pouts, clearly showing her fiery anger over the fact that he even dared to consider sending her far away. She firmly makes it absolutely clear that she will not sail away from here under any circumstances whatsoever. And that is all. Thank you all for watching. Parts 6, 7, and 8 are already available on Boosty. Go check them out now.